Hello, let's do a 2024 movies tier list. I would be absolutely delighted if you joined me. I have made my own tier list here of all the movies I saw that came out in 2024. And right off the bat, I'm breaking my own rules because Poor Things I don't think technically came out in 24, but I don't think it was released in my local theater until 24, and I saw it in 2024. So even though that's a 2023 film, technically, it's going to count for this video. Also, you'll notice there are numbers here. I am a bit of a freak. I am OCD, and I like to rank things how I like to rank them. This is how I rank movies. I do a 1 to 10 scale, and yes, I include decimal points. So hopefully that's not too confusing for you, but the numbers are just essentially what I would give each movie on a scale of 1 to 10. Hello through the reflection of the laptop, by the way. I'm still here. You're going to see my face always here or here. So, Poor Things is the first movie I saw in 2024. And I have to say, we started it off on a very, very strong note. I was wildly impressed with Poor Things. I kind of feared that it would just be very metaphorical and artsy-fartsy over my head. And I'm sure a lot of it is because I'm not that smart. But I was really impressed with this movie from the technical elements and the storytelling. The acting was great all across the board. The setting was amazing. All the set pieces that they crafted for this movie were super cool. The score was interesting. The editing and cinematography, everything was so stimulating to the senses, the eyes and the ears. And it was really impressive to me, but also I felt that it just had a great story. I loved Emma Stone's performance as Bella, and I thought Bella was a great character with a very cool arc. It was a very interesting story, and I was engaged with it, not just in the technical sense of filmmaking, but also I was engaged emotionally, man. And I was impressed a lot with Poor Things, and I honestly think it was one of the best films of the year, if we're counting it as 2024, which I am. Sorry. It's an A for me. It would be in that 8 to 8.9 out of 10 range. Maybe like an 8.4. I don't think I would round it up to a 9, but I really liked Poor Things. We followed it up with Dune Part 2, and I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest Dune fan. I did see the first one before watching the second one, just to make sure I knew what was going on. And I thought it was okay, pretty good. I somewhat enjoyed it, somewhat was bored by it. And that's exactly how I felt for the second one as well. I thought it was okay. I thought people were a little bit insane for saying it was one of the best sci-fi movies of all time. I think it's extremely overrated if I'm being totally candid. But I still think it's a good movie, and I think I would put it in B tier. I gave it a 7, and I think it's kind of just a flat 7. Like, it's just a very pretty good movie. I wasn't super engaged with the story or the characters. I don't know if that shows some type of emotional incompetency on my behalf, but yeah, it's long. The prophecy plot with, I don't remember his name at the moment, the main character, but him fulfilling the prophecy and going to the, I can't remember if it was the east or the west or something. All of that did not really tickle my fancy, but I still thought it was a pretty good movie. You know, it's gorgeous. It's extremely well shot, and I would say well composed in the sense that the music is fitting. I don't like the music. I don't think it's pleasant to the ear, but I think it's fitting. The acting, I think, was good all around. I don't know. These movies don't really hit for me, but I still think they're pretty good, and I can somewhat enjoy them. I thought the action was cool. Anyway, we're going to move on to something I think that was completely different. Roadhouse, which I believe was an Amazon original movie. Streaming originals, man. I don't even know what to say. Has there been a good one? Are there any original streaming movies, especially? You can have some decent series that are streaming originals, but streaming original movies, are there any good ones? I don't know. I think Roadhouse is, I don't think it was good. I think it was very much a streaming original that is like most streaming originals and was just bad. Um, it's sort of enjoyable. There's some funny moments. There's some cool action, like the combat hand to hand stuff is cool. And Conor McGregor, I almost called him Ewan McGregor, a much more competent and qualified actor. He was funny. Jake Gyllenhaal to me was not funny. I am one of Jake Gyllenhaal's biggest fans, and I was not a fan of him in this role. To be honest, I also thought this movie was too long. I don't think it's that good. It's not a good movie. There are some parts that are enjoyable about it, but it's not good. And I would give it like a 4, probably. So it's gonna fall in that D tier. Next up is Civil War. Film that got a lot of buzz, a bit of controversy around it. I feel like it's a little bit divisive. I'm sort of in the middle about it. I thought it was well made. I thought it was well executed. I thought the acting and cinematography and story, they were all good. It did what it set out to do in a very effective way. It was pretty engaging, and there were certainly a lot of enthralling moments where you felt extremely tense with the situation that was going on. But this was another movie that, sort of like Dune Part 2, it's like, okay, I can acknowledge the good parts about it, but personally it didn't super hit. It didn't hit with me. It didn't resonate a whole lot. I didn't find myself too concerned about the characters. I wasn't a big fan of them. I didn't find them super likable or charismatic, and maybe that's the whole point. You could say that. But for me, I don't know. I think I gave this a 7 on IMDb, and yeah, it would be a low B for me. It would be like a 6.7, maybe 6.6, somewhere in there. Next up is Fall Guy. A much more lighthearted film than Civil War, but to me, and a more enjoyable film. It's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but I had a good time with it. I liked Ryan Gosling. I liked Emily Blunt. I liked their chemistry. I thought the comedy was on point. The action was on point. Story is a little shaky, a little confusing at times as well. I found myself scratching my head and wondering what was going on at certain points and wondering who was who and how they were relevant. But overall, I had a good time with Fall Guy. I think it was enjoyable, and you might think this is outrageous, but I'm going to put it above Civil War because I enjoyed it more than Civil War. And you know what? I might put it above Dune Part 2 as well. Making it the second best movie on this list so far. I don't know what that says. We're less than halfway through. But I will say, like, overall, 2024 did not impress me. There's probably going to be a lot of movies in that B, C, D range. But anyway, yeah, I think Fall Guy was pretty enjoyable. Not great by any means, but I liked it. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Man, this one had a lot riding on it because Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes. If you've watched this channel, you've probably heard me talk about them in certain videos. Those are two of my favorite films ever. They're both probably in my top 10 of all time. I absolutely adore the trilogy. Rise is a little bit weaker than the other two, but it's still really solid. Dawn and War they're some of my favorites. I love those movies with my whole heart. And so Kingdom is coming out. We've had a break from the Planet of the Apes series, and this is actually following up the trilogy. It's not a direct sequel, but well, I guess technically it is, but there's a lot of time in between War and Kingdom. So I was like, okay, same universe, let's go. Looks like it's got the same feel, same tone, same visual style, it looks like. I was stoked, and I can't say that it lived up to the hype for me. I can't say that it met my expectations. I don't think it was on par with any of the reboot trilogy films, including Rise, which I would say is the weakest one, but still, again, good. It didn't even touch Rise to me. I found myself struggling to connect with these characters, struggling to be invested in the story. It was weird because they tried really hard, and there were elements of the script where you could tell character was important. They wanted to build these characters. They wanted to make you like them. And there were certain moments, I believe, like with the orangutan, that I was like, okay, this is compelling. I like this. I'm feeling this. But yeah, the main character, I think his name was Noah, I believe. I just didn't really care about his journey. And again, maybe that shows that I'm just a soulless son of a gun, but I don't know. It felt empty to me somehow. And I appreciate that they tried, and it was a pretty good story. I like that they really cared about the predecessors, and they actually referenced Caesar quite a bit. I liked that they did that, but it lacked so much of the emotional weight, I think, and character development and drama that you felt with especially Dawn and War, but even Rise. Rise developed Caesar as such a good character, such a sympathetic protagonist. You felt for him and everything he went through. And then they tried to do it again with Noah here and his little crew of friends. And I don't know. Visually, I thought it was pretty impressive. I thought the performances were pretty good, but it did not live up to the hype at all for me. I thought it was just okay at best. This is a B tier, or is it a C tier? Oh, I don't know. Guys, it breaks my heart to do it, but I'm going to put it in C tier. And that genuinely does break my heart because Dawn and War are both S's to me. So for it to have that big of a drop off in my eyes, it crushes me. Believe me, it crushes me. Yeah, it was just like, I don't know. Something was off about it, and it just fell flat. Next up is A Quiet Place, Day One. This is also part of a series that at one point I loved, pretty much only with the first installment. The first, A Quiet Place, blew me away. Wasn't expecting much from it, and it ended up really gripping me. Thought it was a great, contained, small story that you felt a lot. I'm talking about feelings a lot. Wonder if that's a common denominator here. Forgive me for the cut. I like these videos to be like just a long, continuous thing where I kind of ramble, but I talk too much and I talk too loud and I had to cough. So I apologize for that sincerely. But yeah, A Quiet Place, Day One was another letdown to me. I liked the first one a lot, as I have previously stated. The second one wasn't quite as good as the first one, but it was still pretty good, I think. I think I gave it like a 7. This one just was not even close to those for some reason. And I'm so confused by the fact that this is an origin story or like a prequel, because we already depicted when these creatures hit Earth in the second one, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure we had a sequence of John Krasinski and the fam at that little baseball field, and they saw the aliens come down. And so we have already seen this concept played out in the series that we're watching. Why was a prequel necessary? And to me, I was like, okay, maybe it's just going to add a lot to the aliens and their motivation or explanations of who they are, how they are, whatever. It didn't explain anything. It did not add anything to the aliens that we didn't already know. They're big and loud and dangerous, and they can hear things. That's all it was. And I was like, we know this already. Also, this was another instance of like me being aware that people were trying with this movie to make me sympathize with the characters, with Lupita Nyong'o. Forgive my mispronunciation if I butchered it. Her character, she has cancer, and it's very sad, and she's sort of down because of it for obvious reasons, but something about her, just, I don't know, I maybe I just felt like I was being dragged down the whole time, but it was hard for me to just like enjoy the movie because I didn't really care for her character. Joseph Quinn's character was another one where it's like, okay, I kind of get it and I feel bad for you, so I do sympathize with you in that sense. But also, he got a little annoying to me, just how uptight he was constantly. And maybe that's just because I'm an uptight person, so I was like looking at a mirror or something and I didn't like it. But yeah, I didn't, whoa, camera. I'm so sorry for that. I have the new iPhone 16 Pro Humble Flex, but my finger accidentally slid on the new thing, the button. I'm still trying to get used to that. But A Quiet Place, day one, I don't know, it wasn't that entertaining to me. It didn't add anything to the series for me, and I didn't really enjoy the characters that much. I thought it was extremely mediocre. I don't think it was like really bad. I just thought it was extremely mediocre and sort of soulless, kind of. Didn't care for it a whole lot. I think it's going to be a low C, or just a flat C, like a 5 out of 10. Here's a confusing one. Deadpool and Wolverine. Marvel keeps dragging me back to the theater somehow. I keep saying I'm done, and I keep buying tickets. So, look at me, the hypocrite. Deadpool and Wolverine, upon initial viewing, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I thought the action was cool. I thought it was hilarious. Made me laugh out loud multiple times. I will say, not all of Deadpool's humor hits with me. Not all of it clicks and makes me laugh, but this one I did think was really funny. I think the other two are very funny too, but there's still some jokes that I'm like, like, oh my gosh. I'm clearly just being way too reckless with my phone. I just dropped it and it sounded like a bomb went off. Deadpool and Wolverine. Whew. Here's the issue. It's like, is it a good time? I think undoubtedly, yes, it is a good time. You will enjoy it. But when I start dissecting the characters and the story, which I just naturally do as I watch movies, because those are the things I care about the most. When I start doing that for Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm just like, this is a mess, dude. And to be totally honest, I didn't even love this iteration of Logan, of Wolverine. I don't fully know how to explain it, but I don't know, I got sick of him. And Deadpool's arc was weird to me, didn't really fit his character, I didn't think, and it felt forced because it just feels like they're trying to force everything into the Marvel machine to make everything make sense and establish the larger universe and fit the puzzle pieces, and the puzzle pieces just don't fit, okay? That's how I feel. So, like, I think initially I gave it a 7, and then I dropped it to a 6. So, yeah, I don't love this movie. I just, it would either be a high C or a low B. I don't even know if I would go as far as to say 6.5. I think it would be closer to just a 6. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, just plot points, characters just didn't feel right to me in that movie, and I didn't care about them a whole lot. Next up, we have Beetlejuice. And give me a quick second as I try to hydrate and water my throat a little bit. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so when this movie came out, I started developing an interest for the original, which I had not seen until about the time this movie came out. I decided to watch it, thought it was pretty good, liked it, didn't love it, but the original Beetlejuice I did watch before going to see this, and then this is another instance where it's like, okay, you have something already existing in the series that is clearly beloved or much better than the sequel that's happening, and they try to do new things and they try to make you feel for these characters, and I appreciate the effort, but you just didn't hit the mark for me. Like, I don't know what it is about so many movies these days, but the characters just don't feel right and they don't resonate with me. And I question whether it's because, again, I'm soulless and the part of me is dead, or if writers these days genuinely just don't know how to write a compelling protagonist. I'm more inclined to think it's the latter, because I've seen plenty of movies that will move me so much and rock me to my core and make me cry or feel something. So I don't think my soul is completely gone yet, but movies like Beetlejuice, and Deadpool and Wolverine, and A Quiet Place Day One and Kingdom. It's just like, I don't care what happens to these people. I don't care what happens to the characters in the story. That being said, Beetlejuice is, it's fun. It's harmless. I don't know. I think they did honor the original pretty well. I don't know. It felt a little bit too long to me. It's mid. Like, I just feel like so many movies these days are just mid, and this was mid to me. Oh, this is tough. Where does it fall in C tier? C tier is such a hard thing for me because when I start putting things in C tier, I'm just like, they're all interchangeable. Like, they all have the same problems. I feel the exact same way about all of them, which is, for the most part, I don't feel anything. I'm just gonna leave it there, and we're gonna be okay with that. Hopefully, guys. Hopefully, you're okay with that. Next up is The Wild Robot. Did not have an interest in this movie until I saw the ratings coming in, and I was like, high-rated DreamWorks movie? This has happened before. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. That was another movie I had no interest in, and then saw the ratings for it, and I was like, fine. The Wild Robot was very similar to Puss in Boots: The Last Wish because didn't have an interest in it. Ended up seeing it. Loved it. Genuinely loved The Wild Robot. I felt things. Isn't that crazy? I actually felt things while in a theater watching a movie in 2024. Can you believe that? The Wild Robot, after I got done seeing it, I remember telling my family, this is the best movie of the entire year. And I had sort of forgotten about Poor Things. But even after remembering about Poor Things, I was like, I think Wild Robot is probably even better. Man, it was so gorgeous looking. The art style is really interesting and engaging. It's just beautiful to look at, honestly. And it's also beautiful to watch in a storytelling perspective as you watch this robot learn to love something and realize that she has emotions and sort of take on the role of a mother. Not to mention, I did see this with my mother and some other family members, but I think that probably enhanced the experience because you see Bright Bill grow up and go off on his own, and I'm sitting next to my mom, and I'm just like, man, this is like, it just worked. That was how it was made to be viewed, in my opinion. Like, watch this movie with your mom if you are fortunate enough to be able to do that and be willing to and want to. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this movie, I don't think. Like, it was fun and it was funny. Like, the jokes actually hit and it went to places I didn't think it was going to go with, like, I don't know if this is going to be a spoiler. I don't really think it is. But, like, certain animals dying, they just straight up show you that. And it's a little bit brutal, but also played, like, for comedy. And it works and it's funny. But then it manages to do all that and then keep the heart of the story intact the whole time. It never wavers from being like a dramatic, serious, emotional experience about connection and loving people and family. Like, it was so good. And I don't think I can go all the way up to S tier, but this is easily an A to me, and I think it's the best movie of 2024. Wild Robot, can't recommend enough. It was amazing. Then we have We Live in Time. These are two of my favorite actors, Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. I don't know why my camera is acting so funky. By the way, I'm apologizing for that. Andrew Garfield has been my main man since The Amazing Spider-Man came out, which it's crazy to think that came out 13 years ago now, if I'm not mistaken, 2012. I love this guy, and I've seen so many of his movies just because I know that he's in them. So that was definitely the case for this. I also like Florence Pugh. I've liked her in things I've seen recently. Like, I liked her in Black Widow, and I liked her in Little Women. I'm sure there's something else. Oh, I watched a movie called A Good Person. She was in it. These two are awesome. Awesome actors. And Andrew Garfield's just one of my favorite celebrities in general. With that being said, this was not good. I didn't like it. I really wanted to, but honestly, I thought Florence Pugh was just like a crummy character. Like in this movie, she was just a crummy person, a very selfish individual. And there's a scene where she tries to justify herself for the selfish decisions she's making the whole time. I'm just like, well, you're still selfish. And Andrew, like, it was honestly one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Andrew's character like goes off. He gets upset. And I was like, yes, yes. And then it ends up not really amounting to anything. And she just keeps doing whatever she wants. And I felt it was selfish. And I don't know. I didn't like this movie. I think mainly because I couldn't get behind Florence Pugh's character. I did not think this movie was very good. Did not enjoy it much. I think it's going to go there. I would give it like a 4. Yeah, a 4. 4 point something, low 4. And we ended the year with the Mufasa Killer. Sonic 3. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I believe is the official title. So I watched the first one when it came out. I watched it kind of as a joke with my brothers and a friend of ours, and ended up being somewhat surprised and thinking, huh, that wasn't bad. Pretty good movie. I don't think it was great by any stretch of the imagination, but it took me years until I saw the second one. Didn't see the second one until a few weeks ago, actually. And it was kind of so that I could be able to watch the third one, because honestly, I wanted to see Shadow. I thought the trailers looked really cool, and I was like, okay, let me watch the second one so that I can be prepared for the third. And I liked it. I enjoyed the movie. It's definitely made for kids, and it feels dumbed down a lot of times with the comedy and some of the dialogue. It feels like it's written for children, which is a little bit frustrating because you can do both. You can tell a story to kids, but also be sophisticated and elaborate, like something like The Wild Robot. You can be profound and deep and mature. Sonic isn't that. But these movies are still pretty good. The action is cool. I think the CG is actually decently impressive, which I shouldn't have to say that now, because all CG should be impressive in movies, because we're in the year 2025 now. We were just in the year 2024. But like, it's sad that I'm surprised when like visual effects don't look like trash. But I feel like I do have to say that. Jim Carrey's funny. He has some funny bits in the movie. There were a couple of scenes that kind of emotionally impacted me. Not in a very, very deep or profound way, but I was like, okay, good message, or like good moment, good heart-to-heart moment between characters, or for a character or something. And I love when that happens in movies. So there were a couple of moments that had that heartfelt element to them, and then it's also pretty funny in some moments. And yeah, I don't think it's a great movie, but I would say it's good, and I enjoyed it. So we ended the year on a decently positive note. This is gonna look crazy to you guys, but I'm gonna put it there. I think I would rather watch it than Dune Part 2 or Civil War. I think I enjoyed it more. Sorry if that hurt your feelings. Thanks for joining me on this ride, guys, and let me know what you think about this past year's movies. It's hard for me to enjoy movies these days. I have to be honest. Maybe that's why I don't make as much content anymore. Or maybe it's just because I'm lazy. Maybe it's a combination. But yeah, I am curious to know what people are thinking about 2024's films and what you're looking forward to in 2025. Hope you have a great day. Bye now.